Welcome to Cineights, where you get to know the best movies and series. Today's video is about the 20 best action movies of all time, ranked according to IMDb. I hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg, brought a new cultural symbol to the world upon its first release in 1981. Indiana Jones has become synonymous with Harrison Ford, who performs some never-before-seen stunts in the film, including the sequence with the rolling boulder and his trick with the moving truck. These action sequences remain unforgettable to viewers decades after the film's initial release. The exhilarating movie offers its viewers jaw-dropping scenes without ever becoming too much. As the likable archaeologist travels the world, fans will undoubtedly find themselves rooting for him to succeed despite facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It's been nearly 40 years, yet this family-friendly action movie hasn't lost any of its charm. The Dark Knight Rises, 2012, the final installment in Christopher Nolan's legendary Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight Rises depicts the events 8 years after Batman's disappearance following the controversial death of Harvey Dent. The anti-hero is soon coaxed out of the darkness by an unlikely alliance and a new terrifying villain. The Dark Knight Rises gave audiences the incredible antagonist Bane, who, although often overlooked due to Heath Ledger's Joker, has rightly earned his spot in cinematic history and pop culture. The gritty superhero movie brings Christopher Nolan's renowned trilogy to a satisfying end, cementing the three films as rewatchable masterpieces of the genre. Aliens 1986, a fantastic sequel to the 1979 classic, Aliens takes place more than half a decade after the horrifying events of Alien. This time, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley faces hundreds of xenomorphs who have invaded a colony of humans. She's sent there to investigate with a team of arrogant and doubtful colonial marines, who soon learn the hard way that Ripley isn't joking when she says they should be scared. Embracing action sequences even more than its predecessor, Aliens thrusts Sigourney Weaver into the spotlight and cements her place as one of the most badass action heroes in cinematic history. Despite premiering in the 80s, the film is still just as entertaining and worth watching again today. Oldboy, 2003, director Park Chan-wook has already established a reputation for producing unsettling films with unexpected turns, the most notable of which was Oldboy. The protagonist of the neo-noir action movie, Oh Dae-soo, has just been freed from prison when he finds himself caught up in a major conspiracy that is being controlled by unknown forces. It is better to go into this Park Chan-wook movie with as little knowledge as possible of the twisted and controversial story that has made it so infamous. Viewers who are tired of Hollywood's action movies can turn to Oldboy, a masterpiece of Asian cinema, and enjoy a seamless integration of heart-wrenching drama mixed with heart-pounding action sequences, all of which makes the movie a riveting one that no remake will ever be able to match. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, 2018. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse introduces Brooklyn-based Miles Morales, who struggles to juggle his responsibilities as a student in friendly neighborhood Spidey. When he encounters other versions of Spidey from across the multiverse, things get chaotic. Known for its jaw-dropping visuals and already considered one of the best animated movies of all time, Into the Spider-Verse is a clear love letter to the comics, as it adapts the art style and storylines in an unprecedented way. Its frantic, chaotic, yet beautiful scenes capture the vast possibilities of the multiverse, while also highlighting Miles' personal battle against the villainous Kingpin. Avengers Endgame, 2019. The events of the Infinity Saga culminate in the blockbuster film Avengers Endgame, in which the remaining Avengers and their allies attempt to undo the devastating consequences of the Mad Titan Thanos' snap in Infinity War. Their heroic efforts only lead to additional doubts about the lasting impact of Earth's mightiest heroes' battles, which are still on full display in this action-packed movie. The game shows the most difficult mission the Avengers have had to confront in the MCU so far, with a story arc spanning years and everything at risk. There's no simple answer to their dilemma, and viewers will remember the heartbreaking moments from Endgame long after they leave the cinema. Léon the Professional, 1994. Director Luc Besson's Léon the Professional is centered on the unique relationship that forms between a professional, cleaner, and a 12-year-old girl, Matilda. After her parents are murdered by a corrupt DEA agent, Matilda relies on Léon for survival and, eventually, training to become a talented enough assassin who can seek revenge. Fascinating and often controversial dynamic between the protagonists is the focus of the movie, but its action sequences are remarkable, too. To the emotional build-up and connection Léon and Matilda form with audiences, the stakes feel higher with each new dangerous encounter they have. Gladiator, 2000. Inspired by Daniel P. Mannix's 1958 book, Those About to Die, Gladiator is a box office hit that dramatizes Roman General Maximus Decimus Meridius' experiences. When the ambitious traitor Commodus murders Maximus' father and claims the throne for himself, the protagonist is forced into slavery and becomes a gladiator who fights through the ranks to exact revenge. Director Ridley Scott's beloved film is known for its engrossing portrayal of history, and it does an excellent job of depicting the life or death fights between gladiators. Risks only escalate as Maximus faces off against increasingly skilled foes, and audiences may find themselves watching the more stressful battles with bated breath. Harakiri, 1962, set during the Edo period in Japan. Harakiri is a legendary Jidaigeki movie that follows the Ronin Hanshiro Sugumo. He goes to the local feudal lord to request an honorable death by seppuku, but is ridiculed and questioned because of a recent incident involving a younger samurai who wanted the same thing. Directed by Masaki Kobayashi, Harakiri is remembered for its powerful story full of twists and turns, which sends a hard-hitting message about corruption and honor. Thus, its flawlessly choreographed action sequences are a marvel to watch even today, as fans can expect to see the protagonist skillfully fight against several samurais at once. Seven Samurai, 1954, an essential samurai film for beginners. Director Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai is centered on a group of ronin who are hired by the inhabitants of a poor village to protect them from bandits. Starting with an older samurai, the seven fighters must find a way to work together to prevent the thieves from stealing the civilians' crops. Samurai is an influential film and a genre-defining masterpiece that uses innovative techniques in both its narrative and technical aspects. Complicated camera work served as an important step in using multiple angles to capture the same action shot. He also began the trope of a group of heroes coming together to accomplish a goal or beat an antagonist, which is still used today. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, 1991. Terminator 2 Judgment Day blends sci-fi and action perfectly with its exhilarating story that revolves around a Model T-800 machine sent back to the past to protect John Connor, the future of the human resistance. Skynet sends its own Terminator, the shape-shifting T-1000, whose only objective is to kill the young boy. Great example of an impactful sequel done right. Director James Cameron improves on the visuals, narrative, and action scenes from the 1984 blockbuster. T-1000's fights against T-800 are especially impressive, as these moments showcased cutting-edge effects during its time. Star Wars Episode IV, A New Hope, 1977, the film that would go on to transform cinema as we know it. A New Hope signaled the beginning of the Star Wars cinematic universe. Directed by George Lucas, the 1977 movie kicks off the Skywalker saga by following Luke Skywalker's story, as he learns his role in the galaxy and teams up with Han Solo to rescue Princess Leia, who's being held hostage by the Imperial forces. Cutting-edge visuals and a gripping story, Star Wars became an instant hit and a cultural phenomenon that reminded wider audiences and critics that space operas can be award-winning masterpieces. Portrayal of the intergalactic battles juxtaposed with more intimate stories of love and betrayal has gone on to define an entire generation. Star Wars Episode V, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. Director Irvin Kershner's continuation of the epic Skywalker saga is set 3 years after the events in the 1977 film. The Empire Strikes Back depicts the ongoing battle between the Galactic Empire led by the Emperor and the Rebel Alliance led by Princess Leia Organa. Somewhere else in the galaxy, Luke seeks out Jedi Master Yoda to prepare for his inevitable confrontation with the Sith Lord, Darth Vader. Most fans would agree that the 1980 movie is still the best from the original trilogy. Empire Strikes Back had plenty of opportunities for heart-stopping action, with its iconic scenes made better by the well-written arcs of characters fans were already growing to love. The Matrix, 1999. The Matrix is a film that needs no introduction. Directed by the Wachowskis, the rewatchable sci-fi action movie would go on to start a massively successful franchise that follows Neo's experiences. In the first movie, Neo is an unassuming computer programmer and hacker who soon learns that reality is not what it seems. Matrix is an action-packed blockbuster that portrays imaginative fight scenes that incorporate Neo's new knowledge about his surroundings. Fan will ever forget seeing bullet time moments on the big screen, not to mention the numerous close calls Neo and his allies have whenever agents from the simulated reality pursue them. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 2023. Just when fans and critics thought creators couldn't outdo the brilliance that is Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse premiered this year and blew everyone's minds. Across the Spider-Verse expands Miles' story in a mind-bending way, diving into the wild and vibrant multiverse as he learns about the spider society that has been hidden from him this whole time. If the first movie felt like a love letter to the comics, the sequel looks more like an exaggeration of the source material. The sci-fi animated movie's frantic visuals are totally in tune with the action sequences and even the more intimate and emotional moments, making each frame look like a work of art. Of course, there's something to be said about the well-written story, too. The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, 2002. It's hard to call any one of director Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings movies bad, but if there's an entry that falls behind the other two in the acclaimed trilogy, it would be The Two Towers. The second installment in the Lot R trilogy follows 3 distinct storylines. Frodo and Sam's challenging journey to Mordor, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli's trek to Rohan, and Merry and Pippin's encounter with Treebeard. Despite often being the lowest-rated film among the 3, The Two Towers is still a remarkable display of the fantasy, action, and adventure genres that undoubtedly holds a special place in fans' hearts. No doubt viewers still remember lining up for the film when it first premiered and being stunned by the epic story and gorgeous visuals it offered fans. The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001, the film that first transported countless fans to Middle-earth. The Fellowship of the Ring depicts the fantastical story of Frodo, whose fate becomes intertwined with the One Ring. Once lost for centuries, the powerful ring forged in the fires of Mordor has found its way into the hands of the humble hobbit, who soon embarks on a life-changing quest to destroy it in the only place where it can be destroyed: Mount Doom. Follow Frodo's daring adventure outside of the comforts of the Shire alongside his old friends and some new ones, who soon form the fellowship that must ensure the completion of the quest no matter the cost. The story is complemented by beautiful landscapes, award-winning costume design, and special effects that have held up incredibly. Inception, 2010, thumbs up. Often cited alongside the best sci-fi movies of all time, director Christopher Nolan's Inception follows a group of professional thieves led by Dom Cobb. Cobb and his group are extractors, who have been tasked with the unprecedented goal of implanting an idea instead of stealing information. Along the way, it becomes obvious that the unexpected high security in their victim's subconscious and Cobb's own past could compromise the mission. Inception has won numerous accolades for its stunning visuals, novel narrative, and gripping action scenes. Thanks to the unique setting, Nolan spends a lot of time creating jaw-dropping fight scenes in someone's subconscious. These action sequences often involve large set pieces moving in complicated ways, which perfectly complement the mind-boggling story that viewers will have to watch more than once to understand. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, 2003, based on J.R.R. Tolkien's eponymous 1955 novel, director Peter Jackson's The Return of the King masterfully weaves together the major storylines depicted in the first two movies of the trilogy. The endearing Frodo Baggins is closer to the heart of Mount Doom than ever before, while Gandalf and the rest of the group gather their forces to distract Sauron and give the Hobbit a fighting chance. Fans of the trilogy often agree that the final movie is the best one, as The Return of the King provides a satisfying conclusion to arcs viewers have watched unfold over the years. Thus, its epic depiction of the Battle of the Pelennor Fields and the Battle of the Black Gate showed the courageous characters at their best and boldest. The Dark Knight, 2008, Nolan's second installment in the titular trilogy, The Dark Knight, is still among the best live-action portrayals of Batman. The dark and gritty movie is centered on Batman's attempts at working with District Attorney Harvey Dent and Police Lieutenant James Gordon to beat organized crime in Gotham. An enigmatic villain known as the Joker complicates his efforts in disastrous ways. With its genuinely terrifying villains and jaded main characters, it's easy to see why The Dark Knight has managed to set itself apart in the saturated genre. Action scenes are remarkable in the way they mix the gray morality Batman is known for with the brutality and violence of the movie's antagonist.